Donald Trump is not your friend. Virulent Iran hawk Brian Hook has reportedly been chosen by Donald Trump to help staff the State Department of the incoming administration, just in case you were still holding out hope that this time might be different, and Trump really would end the wars and fight the deep state. Readers might remember Hook as the swamp creature who, in 2017, was seen in a leaked State Department memo lecturing Rex Tillerson on the U.S. government's policy of using human rights as a cynical tool to undermine enemies and reinforce alliances. This is done, Hook explained, by ignoring human rights abuses when they are perpetrated by U.S. allies, while emphasizing them at every opportunity in the nations of enemy governments in order to impose costs, apply counterpressure, and regain the initiative from them strategically. Hook wrote, "The realist view is that America's allies should be supported rather than badgered, for both practical and principled reasons, and that while the United States should certainly stand as a moral example, our diplomacy with other countries should focus primarily on their foreign policy behavior rather than on domestic practices as such." Hook said that in the cases of U.S. allies such as Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the Philippines, the administration is fully justified in emphasizing good relations for a variety of important reasons, including counterterrorism, and in honestly facing up to the difficult trade-offs with regard to human rights. One useful guideline for a realistic and successful foreign policy is that allies should be treated differently and better than adversaries. We do not look to bolster America's adversaries overseas. We look to pressure, compete with, and outmaneuver them. For this reason, we should consider human rights as an important issue in regard to U.S. relations with China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. This is not only because of moral concern for practices inside these countries. It is also because pressing those regimes on human rights is one way to impose costs, apply counterpressure, and regain the initiative from them strategically. Hook's words, shared in confidentiality with the political neophyte Tillerson, were an excellent window into what Western empire managers are doing when they feign outrage at alleged human rights abuses in nations they have targeted for destruction. The fact that this would be one of the first names chosen by Trump suggests we can expect more despicable foreign policy recklessness from the returning president. I am already getting people telling me to give Trump a chance and stop criticizing him before he's in office when I point out developments like this. Give Trump a chance? He had 4 years. He was the president for 4 fucking years. Trump showed us who he is, a murderous warmongering empire lackey just like his predecessors. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. There is no reason to think this time will be different. Trump criticizes foreign interventionism because that kind of rhetoric is popular, not because he actually means it. In order to get to where he's at, Trump cut deals with Zionist oligarchs, powerful lobby groups, and more or less the exact same Republican voting base and donor class that's given rise to every other disgusting Republican president in recent years. Even if he wanted to end wars and fight the establishment, and there's no evidence that he does, he's already tied his own hands with the deals he's made with the powerful establishment factions he's promised his service to. Trump supporters are George W. Bush supporters LARPing as Ron Paul supporters. They act like they're backing some anti-war figure who's taking a meaningful stand against the machine, when they're really backing a guy who spent 4 years rolling out long-standing neocon agendas. That's what makes them so annoying. At least liberals are more or less honest about wanting to preserve the status quo. Trumpers want you to take seriously their belief that they participated in some huge revolutionary act by ticking a box for the Republican on Election Day. They correctly believe their country is controlled by an unelected deep state, though they are very confused about who that actually is. But they incorrectly believe this unelected power structure can be defeated by voting for one of the two mainstream presidential candidates presented to them at the ballot box. Like that would ever be an option. I am really not looking forward to another 4 years of that shit, I'll be honest. For 4 fucking years, these morons were in my mentions, telling me every action of Trump's that I criticized was actually a brilliant 47-dimensional chess maneuver against the deep state, even when he was openly advancing some long-standing agenda of the CIA and neoconservative swamp monsters, like ramping up aggressions against Iran or staging a coup in Venezuela. They warm up to me because they see me criticizing the media and talking about corrupt power structures, and they go, "Ooh, she's like me." But then they cannot understand why I keep criticizing their shitty Republican daddy figure. And then I have to spend my time explaining to them that their hero is a murderous imperialist shit stain. And at the same time, I'm going to have to be criticizing the Democrats because they'll be attacking Trump for being insufficiently hawkish on foreign policy. Because that's the only foreign policy criticism you're allowed to level at a U.S. president in mainstream politics and media, which will only contribute to the problem of Trump supporters thinking I'm on their side. It's a much less efficient and straightforward way for me to do my thing than when there's a Democrat in charge of the war machine. It's not my preferred way to operate. Let me make things simple. If you are cheering for the U.S. president, you are not fighting the power. You are a power-worshipping bootlicker, and you should feel embarrassed. Your president is not your friend. The U.S. president will always serve the warmongering power structure you correctly feel needs to be opposed. The plutocrats and empire managers who rule your country are never ever going to let you vote them out of power. Hope that helps.